About what you want to be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball. We are back and better than ever, and it is so good to have you with us. Last week on the show, we had Aisha Brown, producer at Xbox Gaming Studios Publishing. We talked about diversity and inclusion, how it impacted our lives and what we do and how we create. Niraj hosted. Andreas won, and Andreas will be our host for today. We dropped our MS Tech Bits, tips and tricks to migrate from ADLS Gen 1 to ADLS Gen 2, featuring Andreas and Niraj. Make sure that you check that out. Thursday, we had our community roundtable with so much great content created by you, the community. You don't want to miss a minute of those shows. So if this is your first time making it over to Tales from the Field, make sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe. Also, if you want to interact with the show, it is so easy. We are streaming on a multitude of platforms. We are on Twitter under Tales from the Field. Niraj Jafari, Josh Ludeman, Sequel Balls. We are on LinkedIn under Sequel Balls. We are over on YouTube under the Tales from the Field channel. And if you make a comment on any one of those locations, one of my amazing co-hosts will see that and they will add your comment to the stream so you can be a part of the show. Speaking of those amazing co-hosts, let me give a brief introduction to them. Joining me are Josh Ludeman, Andreas Padilla, and hearts are breaking all over the world tonight because it's a reminder one more time that this man is off the table. Your friend and mine, Niraj Jafari. Andreas, you're the host, buddy. What's the topic?
The topic, as many of you guys know out there, we do a topic every week, and this is a beautiful topic close to my heart. It is work-life balance.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a great.
How did I
that's
go crazy in this day and age?
I like it. As
That's
if it couldn't get any better than that, Patrick Leblanc is here with us today. Patrick is a principal program manager on the Power BI team. He is one half of one of the most dynamic duos since Batman and Superman. He and his partner, Adam Saxton, are the stars of the show over on Guy in a Cube, and he has been a TSP, a DPSA for Microsoft, a consultant, a DBA, sneaker fashionista. Beautiful sneakers. You should check those out on Instagram. Welcome, Patrick.
Hey, thank you for having me. This is exciting. Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you here, Patrick, but
thank you.
Out of the two of you, who's Batman?
So we'll just leave it at this, Josh. I'm Bruce Wayne, so you can conclude from whatever you want. I'm Bruce Wayne, so
I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
Adam definitely has that farm boy appearance. So yeah. Andreas, this past weekend was the Super Bowl, man. How was your weekend?
Dude, we got our nachos on in the house. We do nachos galore at my house. My wife does that every year. And remember, golden rule, you are not allowed to touch the nucleus of the nachos. You got to work your way around. Then finally, everybody can get to the nucleus. Golden rule. Don't touch the nucleus.
It makes sense, man. That's where all the guac is, the good sour cream, stuff like that. It's all the goods are in the middle. I'm with you on that.
So what do you put on? Do you put beef? Do you put chicken? Do you put steak? What do you got on there, man?
Everything and anything: beef, chicken, sour cream, tomatoes, pico de gallo, lots of 7 layers of cheese. Next year I'm gonna have a cheese fountain going into the nachos.
Oh, wow.
I can't even imagine 7 layers of cheese. You throw a cheese fountain on top of that.
I feel my arteries clogging, man. Our
good buddy Dan Taylor is there. He goes for the guac first. That's a good, healthy choice. He also said Patrick is definitely a billionaire with a lot of cool toys.
There you go. I told you.
There we go.
I told you. I'm Bruce Wayne. I told you. I'm Bruce Wayne.
It makes a ton of sense to me. So I guess onto our topic, Andreas, as the host, do you want to give us a review of the rules?
The rules are, boys and girls out there, you've seen the show before. It is Patrick and myself are going to dish out points to our lovely panel. And if they can wow us, if they can, perk up our ears and say something that is actually valid, we'll give you a point or two. But Patrick and I can take away points. So You know, I want your A game today. We're in the presence of excellence, so bring it on.
Great.
We're in the
Excellence
end
of execution. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Okay. And so speaking of Patrick is a very busy man. He's got Guy in a Cube going on. He's got a pre-con over at SQL Bits. Our session at SQL Bits. Probably a lot of other things on your plate. I guess from a personal note, though, one of the things I wanted to make sure and highlight was that Patrick is one of the first people I met in the data community. At my very first SQL Saturday ever, SQL Saturday 49 in Orlando, I went to the after party, went there not knowing anybody, and of course, immediately felt like I was home. What an amazing event it was. And then I get to the after party, and Jack Corbett and Patrick Leblanc are sitting at a table, and I hear Patrick laugh, one of the best laughs that I've ever heard before in my life. And I go, that's a man I want to grab a beer with. And so I sat down at the table, and my goal was just to make him laugh as much as I possibly could. We had a great time talking back and forth. But I also owe him to be my career at Microsoft. We were at Pragmatic Works, PW together. And Patrick left. Patrick goes to Microsoft. Patrick recruits Jorge Segura to Microsoft. Jorge recruits me. I recruit Josh. Seven degrees from Patrick LeBlanc happening right there.
Patrick is the new Kevin Bacon.
He's Batman. He's Kevin Bacon. What don't you do?
We're still asking ourselves that question.
It's funny. It's so funny.
He's amazing. So
Yeah.
but now, speaking of PW, though, I will say this: PW was not necessarily the best place to have a lot of work-life balance, and it taught me to kind of have a line and to draw a line in my professional career. Family time is sacred, and you really have to make sure that you put dedication and time and focus into that, and you draw boundaries. Then I tend to find people do respect boundaries. I've said a lot, so let me give you the floor so we can hear you speak. But I'd love to hear about what you've got going on, and also what some of your personal rules are for managing work-life balance.
All right. So right now, in 2 weeks, next Friday, Alex Powers and I are doing a workshop day after dashboard in a day here in Atlanta. It's Atlanta SQL Saturday, BI SQL Saturday. So we're doing that on Friday. And then the Atlanta BI SQL Saturday is the next day. So doing that. And then Bits. And so we have the work day at Bits, Adam and I. And then we have a session on Thursday. We have the powwow on Friday. And then you and I, we have our session on Saturday. I thought Josh was going to be there, but guess I'm not, special enough to be in the presence of Josh, but that's okay. That's okay.
Well, no, it's not you, it's me. I mean, frankly, I completely understand it. He was like, "Oh, Brad's going."
I thought it was me.
Honestly, Patrick, I thought it was you and I. Then I heard Brad was in on it. I'm like,
so, work-life balance. When I'll start at Pragmatic Works. So I will say, right, there wasn't, and all those guys are great. All those guys, I'll be honest with you, Brian Knight and Steve Jones, those two people together actually helped me get a lot. They attributed to a lot of where I am right now today. I had a lot of conversation with both those guys, and then I started working at PwC, and Adam Jorgensen and I were buddies, and he really helped. Those three, take all three of those guys, and they really helped jumpstart my career because I was a DBA, not knocking the DBA, but I was a DBA in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, working for a small, maybe a mid-sized advertising company. And I started working at Pragmatic Works. I started meeting people, and then the career kept going, oh, wait, let's do this, let's do that. And then I was working Pragmatic Works, man, I was gone. I didn't know what home looked like, because it was like, you get home, it's like, got another project. You get home, got another project. Get home, got another project. And I was out in California, and this guy who worked for Microsoft, I still know him to this day. His name is Keith Ward. He's like, hey, you should be working at Microsoft. I was like, well, give me a job, buddy. Get me a job at Microsoft, and I will come and work at Microsoft. And probably 2 or 3 weeks later, I was in New York City, and this guy from Microsoft called me up. Was like, when are you coming to work for Microsoft? And I'm like, tomorrow. And I left Pragmatic Works. And what I learned, and when I came to Microsoft, it was really important. Work-life balance is a really important thing. And so you worked, 7 until 5. You got off, and it was time to go be with the family. The team that I was on, they were really adamant about this really You need to spend some time with your family. But then I joined Guy in the Cube, and trying to balance Guy in the Cube, Microsoft, and family really got tricky. It really got tricky because it's like, I got to record these videos, and I was new to the whole video thing. I like to present in person. I draw my energy, like Superman in the sun. The audience is my energy. A camera was my kryptonite. And so trying to do that, if you go back and watch those early videos, they sucked. They were awful. And I would spend so much time down here in the basement trying to record those videos. And finally my wife was like, look, buddy, you got to figure out how to make this work. And so I came up with this conscious decision: is the priority is family, then Microsoft, then Guy in the Cube. And so nothing trumps, family. And so what I would do is, everybody's asleep. Back then, my kids were really young. My daughter's graduating high school. My son's off in college. And I was much, much younger and, less gray back then. But back then, I would get up in the morning because everybody was asleep or getting ready to do something. And so around 5:30 in the morning, I would get up in the morning and I'd go and do Guy in the Cube. And then I would work out, shower, go to work. And at 5 o'clock, if there was a text or a phone call from my wife or one of my kids and said, hey, that's it. Work's over, no more work, because family needs. And on Saturdays and Sundays, if nobody's home, if I'm by myself, right, everybody was like, how do you get all this stuff done? Well, the football game's on, but I need to record a video. The football game's on, I need to read this. I'm not going to watch the football game because I have some free time when my family's not here. So now I prioritize Microsoft and Guy in the Cube, or my learning, my own self-education, during that time when my family's not around, when they're not saying, hey, dad, hey, husband, so it was like those things come first.
It's a really hard concept, but when your kids are little, it feels like there's so many demands on you.
Yes.
But as your kids get older, I'm starting to get in that situation. My youngest right now is in 7th grade. My second youngest is getting ready to graduate high school. Other one's in college. Other one's graduated, living in another city. Yeah. And so it's like, I'm looking at this point of view and I realize I have 5 years until my youngest one is out of the house. And I mean, next year it's just going to be down to one kid. And I go, well, now I've got this free time, but it makes me look at all these times that they're in the house where you go, Dad, I need to do this. And you go, you have this small window where they're going to want to spend all this time with you. If you don't take advantage of it, you are going to miss that because you never get that time back.
My daughter is a senior in high school. And so like this semester, this is her last semester in high school. And it's slowly like, I remember last school year, her and I would spend so much time like watching movies and shooting pool and going to get burgers and stuff like that. Now it's just kind of like, hey, what are you doing Saturday? Oh, my boyfriend. Oh, my girlfriends. Oh, I'm going to the basketball game. And it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Like I almost have to like schedule time with her on Saturdays and go, hey, do you think we can watch a movie? You think we can shoot a game of pool? And she wins every time. But it's like, I got to get on her calendar now, And so it's a little heartbreaking, but it's the reality. And I'm proud because, hey, she's growing up and she's going to go off to college and they'll always need you, but you know what I mean? She won't need me as much, right? And I have more free time to record videos and learn stuff and travel a little more, go to more conferences and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Last week, Andreas's daughter, she needed some attention. And I love it whenever he does that, because I'm not going to lie. I haven't had a kid for over a decade now that has been small enough that I just get to pick up and I put in my lap. I love those moments. Like literally when I see you with your little kids that are your babies that you get to love on, man, I'm like, yeah, I remember that.
You guys just gave me a kick in the keister right now. One, you reminded me, and then of what happened to me 2 days last week. My son came into the room and he's like, you didn't play with me. And he was devastated. And I'm like, you know what? Everything else can wait. It could go to, it can burn. I don't care. This one's number one. Yeah.
Yep. No, they do, man. It's a special group. Yeah.
Dan has, when the 16-year-old comes out of his room and he asks to do something, we jump. I get that. Oh my God, I get that. So Zachary comes home. He's 19. Zachary comes home from college on the weekend sometimes, and he goes up to his room and he plays a video game. And then he leaves to go do something with his girlfriend. And it's like, because I remember I've had entire weekends where I've been like, he's going to come home. We're going to have some family dinner. We're going to wake up early on Sunday and we'll do this. And he's like, no, Dad, I got a work shift. Sorry. I was actually only here to go on a date with my girlfriend. And now I'm heading back over to college and I got to work and all that. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. to keep some semblance of attachment, because, you know, 2 daughters, one's in freshman in college, same age as Brad's oldest. And my younger daughter is starting as a freshman in high school next year. And so with my older one, that was one of the governing rules when she went to campus in the fall was you're just up the road. So Sundays, and this was literally how, you know, my wife and I told her, we're like, Sundays, we own your ass. Wow. You know, you've got to do laundry and stuff like that. You're going to come back, have a good cooked meal. You're going to do your laundry, but you get to come back and spend a little time so we don't lose that connection completely. Yeah. And it works out well. Is there times when she cancels? Yes. But she knows that it's a priority to come back on the Sundays, do the laundry. It's better than her in her eyes than doing it in the laundromats, I bet you, on campus. So she comes back and does it though, but we get that connection back with her. Wow. But even with our younger daughter, yeah, one of the things she's even wanted to start to do, because again, with my older daughter off the campus, she feels that void in the house too. So one of the things she's pushed for, and we've started doing this year, is, you know, while her sister's home Sunday after dinner, play a board game. Maybe it's a match of Clue, you know, maybe charades, Scrabble, Uno, something. Play a quick game. Everybody chats, everybody laughs, rekindle, you know, keep that connection alive. And then she goes back to campus. So.
The struggle right now, though, is like my son's 22. He's about to be a senior in college. He wants to go study abroad his last year. And it's just kind of like that first year, that first semester, it was easy, right? He came home, we went visit, you know, it was absolutely easy. The second semester, it slowed down. The second year, you know, the third year, we got lucky in there, and it's not luck. COVID happened, so he had to come home. But then now he's back. And it's just kind of like he came home because my neighbor had a Super Bowl party and invited him over for Super Bowl. So he came for that. But after this, like halftime in the Super Bowl, he's like, I'm out, going back to campus. I'm like, wow, it's like an hour and a half drive. He's like, I'm going to be okay. I'll text you guys when I get back, you know? And so the older they get, that's what we're seeing, right? So like that first year of college, it was great. The second year, he was home because of COVID. But this year, it's just kind of like, I'm a man, you know, I'm a grown man, and you're telling me I'm like, I pay tuition. I should be able to tell. I pay car note, right? I should be able to tell you, but you don't want to put, what I feel is I don't want to put that restriction now that he's much older, you know, on him to feel like you're obligated to come back. When he was younger, yes, but now he's 22 years old. It's just kind of like, you know what, you need to go and you need to grow up, right? You need to stop calling me. I'm about to kick you off the cell phone plan as soon as you walk across the stage. You need to get your own cell phone. You need to get your own car insurance. When you're 25, you got to get your own medical insurance. I mean, not that. But you got to, what I'm seeing is you got to start teaching them, hey, it's time to be an adult. It's time to be an adult. And while I'm here, I don't want to always be the solution to all your problems. I need you to be the solution sometimes. And so it's scary. It's terrifying. It's terrifying to think about my daughter in that situation, right? Son, go. See you later, buddy. The daughter, it's a and I love my son. Don't get me wrong. I love him with all my heart. But the daughter, that is, I like, every day it gets closer to her graduation. It gets closer. We're visiting colleges. Every day it gets closer to her going to college. My heart breaks just a little bit more because, you know, she's not going to be in my house. So I don't know. We'll see that. We'll see what that's like when it happens. I can't imagine what you're going through, Josh and Brad, with girls away from home.
Yeah. Oh, it's not easy. So Andreas and Niraj, you both have younger kids, you know, so we're kind of grouped over here, the three of us talking about this. What's going through your minds?
So for me, I have 2 daughters also, and I agree with Patrick, right? I mean, it's different with the guys. I mean, I have friends who have only guys, boys as their kids, and they're like, oh, I don't care. I'll let them do after a certain time. With the girls, it's a whole different story. My older one is like fresh in high school this year, So I mean, she's already getting prepped for like SATs and all this stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I need to plan for my college." I'm like, it's still 3 years to go, but she's like, oh, in a rush to get that done, and that scares me out, right? I mean, once going out of the house is going to be scary, right? I mean, I hope she stays in neighborhood, I mean, in New York at least, but that's not going to be possible. But yeah, with daughters, it's a different story. That's what I think.
Yeah. For me, I mean, before we get to the game here, guys, my kids, I see them like 5 years went by in 2 seconds, and they're just growing up super quick. And yeah, you get older and you may want to kick them out of the house, but you know, on a lighter side, my wife is still on my in-laws' phone plan, and she's like, and they want her off, and I said, no, I love that phone plan because it's free. So stay there.
Oh, it costs me nothing, that phone plan.
Don't let your in-laws see this video. You are in trouble.
I know.
Anyway, look at that. Mr. Adam Saxon himself chimes in. Yo. Hey, Adam.
No.
We're going to have to explain to him earlier, but we've already agreed that you're Clark Kent, buddy.
Borrow my glasses. There you go. Don't borrow my glasses. You won't be able to see.
I was going to say, Dan says, I also think this applies to folks that don't have kids. All should make family a priority. Make sure that a partner or a family member feels first. You know, that's a great point, because we're looking at this and we're looking through the lens of us being parents and making our time with our kids. But for a mental health purpose, because even outside of that, being parents, I go and I exercise every morning, because if I don't exercise in the morning, I'm not going to get it in during the day. And that's my time. And I need that to be right. And you got to carve out those moments to, even when your kids are little, to make sure that you get some time away for your own mental health.
Yeah. My wife pushes it like once or twice a week. We're at dinner. We don't, no kids, right? The daughter stays home. Nobody's invited. It's just her and I. Like tonight, it's Valentine's Day, but I mean, we're going to dinner, and it's always an early dinner because we want to beat the crowd. So we're going to dinner at like 5:15 today. So once or twice a week, it's her and I going out to eat, to have our own time. And every morning I get up and work out by myself. Or I'll go take a walk just to have, to clear my head and stuff like that. No, you're right, Brad. You're right.
So
absolutely.
Adam has those questions. It's like,
he said he is experienced with being called Clark Kent. He said, pretty sure Josh was around at Ignite when that happened. Yeah. I heard a lot about that.
Throwback. Yeah, completely a throwback.
The good thing is, when we get together, we are all focused on having a good time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to bits, Brad, because Josh won't be there. So looking forward. We'll have a great time without
him. We will.
So.
I don't know what Wills has to offer, but we're going to figure it out.
We're going to figure it out. We'll ask Chat GTP or PT, whatever it's called. It'll give us a good recommendation on what's out.
We should do that. Chat GPT. What are we doing?
GPT. Yeah.
Oh, start submitting conference abstracts written by Chat GPT.
That's right.
All right, Andreas, I think you were going to try and guide us into the show. Let me pass it over to you, bud.
Yeah, but so the topic. What are your tricks up your sleeve to make sure that you maintain a good work-life balance? Niraj, hit me with something that will just wow me and Patrick. What do you got, bud?
Sure. So I mean, I had a very bad work-life balance in my previous job. I mean, I agree. Microsoft definitely is a game changer coming back. I mean, in my previous job, my manager was like, even on vacations, he would like, you should be available on the phone whenever it's necessary. So even if you're on the beach, he would like make sure that he'll call you up and just ask you a question or something like that. So that is something I did not have a work-life balance. And that's where the kids were growing up pretty young, and I lost all that thing. And my wife was like, yeah, you can't survive with all this whole just available anytime, work in the weekends, work late nights. So I would start at 7 in the morning and go till like 12 in the night, and there was no work-life balance at all. So that's something Microsoft definitely helped me changing that whole thing up. But 5 things that I would say from that experience is understand the situation. I mean, whenever you try to understand, and then try to play around with that situation to make sure that you have the priority, as Patrick said, right? 3 priorities: work, maybe Tales from the Field for us, and then family. Family is always on the top. You should always prioritize the top. Manage the expectation, right? I mean, kids are gone. I mean, after a certain age, they are gone from your life. They will come back on Father's Day, Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, but that's not what you want. They would definitely, you want them to be there forever. I mean, I remember my parents always saying to me that, yeah, once you're gone, then what time are we going to spend? And I did not spend time with them. So that's exactly what is going to happen. Learn to say no. I mean, one thing that definitely you need to say that this is my time zone. I'm working from 8 to 6 or whatever I'm working. And after that, there is no more. I mean, say no to work or whatever is needed to do it. And definitely your fun I mean, during your personal time, evenings, weekends or vacations, plan some fun activities. I mean, that is something that definitely you should plan it out. I mean, that's the memories are always going to stay. Work is going to be there. There's memories, but that's more is the personal life memories that is always going to stay for you with you.
Beautiful. I love it. I'm going to give you 100 points for being a heartbreaker. Another 100 points because you tapped into Patrick's unbreakable vow, family first, and another 100 points for a total of 300 because you used the 3 F words: family, friend, and fun. Good for you.
Wow.
Thank you, John.
Patrick, what do you want to give him? What are you going to give him?
I'm gonna go 200 all up. I'm going 200 all up, just because it touched everything, and my heart was like breaking a little bit in the middle because I didn't mention about people leaving, because the kids are gonna leave, and now it's just you and your wife there, and so because that's coming for me. It's coming quick. Like 6 months from now, it's just going to be my wife and I. So yeah, 200 all up. 200 all up.
Doing well, Niraj. Out of the
Thank you,
blocks,
Patrick.
500.
Yeah.
You're up, Brad.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna it's
Just ignore him. Just ignore him.
I saw his comment, and it felt like he saw me. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like,
I was going to say
there's only 2.5.
FFS, friends, family, and spaghetti. I mean, we're all having dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, spaghetti. Yes.
Oh, and so we have Dan getting back to us. Dan talked to Chat GPT for you guys.
Yeah.
I cannot predict the preferences or plans of Bradley Ball. Patrick Leblanc. You got that right. We broke the algorithm,
There's
buddy.
a part 2.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh,
That's not bad.
So,
Adam has
Brad,
one
what
more.
do you got for me, bud?
Yeah, Adam has one more, and I think we need to dive into this.
Okay.
Oh no. Because what everybody thinks is mean is not what I think it means. So we'll go offline. I'll tell you what it means when we go offline.
That sounds good. We can cover that in the post show.
Yeah, we'll cover that in the post show.
So I guess when I think about this, I've got a couple different perspectives that I've gained recently. So my wife is the youngest child of 4. I am the second oldest of 4. So when my sister went to college, it wasn't that much longer before I was gone as well. My family was moving around different states as well. And so she went to school at the University of Tennessee. She got dropped off when we lived in Tennessee. We moved to Georgia, then we moved to North Carolina. I went to Western Carolina University. Literally, they dropped me off on their way to move down to Florida. I never had the perspective of the youngest being left home at the end. And I realized that recently with my daughter Serenity, because when Zachary went to college and he came back, it meant a lot to her that he came back because that knowledge is important. When I think about the family time stuff, Pragmatic made me develop very hard boundaries of when I could travel, when I could go and do something. I've got a family calendar that sits literally just beyond this screen where I've got all the different events that are going to take place this month, family wise. And I started that when I worked there so I could see if somebody wanted me to travel. I could see what the week was. Am I going to miss a band concert? Am I going to miss somebody's sporting event? Am I going to miss this if I'm away? And I would negotiate with people. I can't be away that week. I have to be here this week, but I can be on site these weeks. And so I had to set those boundaries. And I remember when I came to Microsoft, I was kind of scared at first, but I had a really great boss who said, you've got to put these limits in place. And I'll never forget, I was with a customer and they're asking me in Premier Developer to come out and do a training. And they're like, it has to be in January. And I'm looking at the calendar and I've got all kinds of family stuff. And I go, I can't do it till February. I'm sorry, but I'm going to take notes. I'll meet with somebody else on my team and we'll find somebody who can do this for you. Well, no, we want you. Yeah, that's great. And I can't do it till February. Well, it has to be in January, right? Which is why I'm going to give my notes to somebody else. Basically, that conversation for 10 or 15 minutes. And eventually they went, well, we can do that in February. And I went, well, great. Now I'm available.
Yeah.
And of course, I had the TAM for the customer IMing me. Don't be so inflexible. Why can't you do this? Blah, 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 blah. And I just ignored them because you have to set those boundaries. So the boundary is key. But the point of view, as you grow, you gain insight into all these things and you recognize what was important that you might not have valued once. And it helps you prioritize things for the future. Date nights with your spouse, having time with your kids while they're still home, or making sure when they're coming back that you communicate effectively to go, hey, you're coming back. I want to do these following things. Your girlfriend is invited to dinner if that gets you at the dinner table. I want to wake up and do this. When's your work shift? So that way we can plan around this. Maybe we do a family breakfast on Saturday instead of Sunday. But you got to have those boundaries, but you also have to communicate and really just prioritize what's important because it's only going to come around once.
Yep.
Beautifully done. Way to go, Bradley. 100 points for pulling on my heartstrings, man. You're always tugging on those. For setting boundaries and setting limit. You're limitless, but you're limiting others, which I love. And you talked about dinner. There is an unspeakable rule here in my house. I have to be sitting down at the table every night for dinner. Microsoft can wait. Other thing can wait. I have to be there. So that is the most important rule in my house, and we never break it. Good 600 points for me. What do you got, Pappy?
So I will tell you this: there's no dinner at my house. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. My daughter just does her own thing all the time, right? So it was funny last night. Her and I ended up sitting at the table together at the same time to eat, and she goes, "Wow, this is strange. Why are you at the table with me?" It's like, no, it is kind of strange. But unless we go to dinner, so we go to dinner together a couple of times. So man, that just broke my heart right there. I got to work on that part of my life here, Brad and Andreas. So thank you so much. So I'm going 400 all up, 400 all up, Brad.
Wow, you put the $1,000, 1,000-point plane.
Yeah,
Josh. It's your turn to shine, man.
Yeah, I'm just taking in Adams here.
Yeah,
and I agree. I was looking at the boundaries thing and what comes off my plate. Absolutely, I agree. That's an important question because whenever there's only so many things that you can actually accomplish at one time, and you have to have that conversation about deprioritizing. Yeah. And I love it. Patrick says that, but he and his daughter have a great bond. I know they do.
My daughter and I, we're best friends, right? We are buddies. But it's just like I said, since January, she's been growing up. She's been, growing up. And so like when the last time Adam was here, him and my daughter went and we had burgers at this place because that's where she wanted to go. And he's like, I'll tag along. We'll all go, So no, she's my ride or die, but she's growing up and I'm starting to see the path going like this a little bit. And I just want to keep it that way, but she's kind of going, let me grow up. Let me grow up a little bit, so that's all right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pickles. Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. Nice. So
Josh, you're up, bud.
For me, it's, and I think Brad hit on a few good points too. You have to own your time, right? And actually the same manager Brad was referring to, when he first joined Microsoft, I had the same manager. And one of the things talking to Neil was no one's going to protect your calendar. No one's going to protect your time. That's you. And so learning, pulling off a Niraj, learning to say no, to defend that calendar and not do trips. Because even going back to Patrick, PW, absolutely. You didn't know what home was. I mean, I remember there were a couple months in a row where 1 month I spent 3 weeks on the road. The next month I spent the entire month on the road. And then I looked at Brad, I think, and a couple other people, and I said, I'm not going anywhere next month. They're like, but we have sorry, I'll break my own leg now to make sure I don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Ironically, 3 months later, I shattered my kneecap, but that's a different story entirely. We'll go on to the next thing. But I really did. Long story, not related, funny thing. But for me as well, it's, I told the story about my daughter and like Sundays, that's it, because she's right up the road. Making, there's certain times to draw a line in the sand and really hold to it. Another line I have in the sand, I take a summer vacation. It's a summer vacation with some other families. But when I'm gone, when I end that Friday or Thursday or whatever day, that last day of work, I go into, the computer shuts down. I don't open Outlook during vacation. The phone, I keep certain, app notifications on like Teams or Outlook and things like that. The company accounts shut down. Like the notifications are turned off. Nothing shows up there. I am very specific about that, not only with myself, but with my team. Don't answer me. If I send you something and you're out, it's because I want you to see it when you get back. If I hear from you during the week, anyone on my team can relate to the fact that they get a response back from me, get the hell off of here. That's usually the first one. Or it's, I appreciate your response. Now go back to vacation. I'm very much almost on borderline militant about that. I'm not into that stuff. Neither should you. And really just maximize that time. When I walk out of here, I'm smiles, cooking dinner, pulling somebody else in the kitchen if they're not doing anything, cracking jokes, but completely, try to be completely mentally divested from whatever happened in this room once I get out of it.
Man,
Nice.
you spit hot fire. Hot fire.
Yeah.
Let me tally this up. I'm going to give you 500 points because you said something that is definitely true. Own your time and run your business yourself like a business. When you got to work, you work. When you don't have to work, you go and take time. The other one, you have summertime in the LBC. Love it. Everybody's got to take summertime vacations. And the last thing that you said that blew Niraj and Brad out of the water is that you care about others' well-being. Respect. While you're here, go on vacation, go fix your house, go get a beer. You definitely make sure that cascades downwards to your team, Josh. 2,000 points, man, for me. What about you?
Ooh.
No.
Oh, that's
I don't think I need to say anything, but I want to make one. I want to make one comment. At the very beginning, you said own your calendar, and when I was a TSP and a CSA, and we would hire new people, or I would tell them the first thing is account executives and SSPs, and all those different acronyms of people that are salespeople at Microsoft. They will try to own your calendar, and they will work you and make you travel. This is before COVID, right? Pre-COVID. They will make you travel every week if you let them. But if you say, no, I can't go that week. Dude, that's the advice I gave every single TSP CSA that was joining Microsoft. They set up a call. So I'm going to give you 5,000 points just for that one. Just for that. Wow. Just for that. Right. All the other stuff, right? You get 1,000,000 points for that. But 5,000 just for this, just for that right there. Because that's how you manage work. That's how you manage work.
Yeah.
That is how you manage work, right? If you can manage work, you can manage everything else, right? So
I think Josh only won because he did not have a hat. That's the
Stop wearing a hat.
I love it because I did this too. Adam's absolutely right. It's not scientific.
Handy.
But when I feel my day is covered by 75% meetings, I proactively block the rest of the day to prevent more meetings from coming in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've all had those days where you're back to back from sun up to sundown, and it is awful.
It is awful. Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, Andreas, I don't think I have to ask you to tally up the points, but who's our winner, buddy?
Ludeman, you can say you're the big winner, man.
Yeah, man.
So I can officially say, suck it, Brad.
I give credit where it's due.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
And I'm looking forward to this chance that I get to say, suck it back to you. All right. So I guess we're over to our wrap up. Quick reminder, next Tuesday is our Elfter show. Deanne Taylor, Lonnie Bauer, Andrew Nathan will all be joining us, and we will be unboxing those presents. So quick reminder to everybody, you need to make sure those presents are over at your Elfster's house. Josh is the winner. Congratulations, Josh. Thursday is the Roundtable show. If you have content you would like to have featured, please put in the comment. Hit us up on Twitter, on LinkedIn. We would love to be able to feature you and your community content here on the show. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got an MS Tech Bits that we're going to drop. It's me, and it's how to back up a database on Azure SQL Managed Instance and restore it on SQL Server 2022. It's a new feature. For the first time ever, you can restore a database backup on a SQL Server instance. So you're not going to want to miss that. SQL Bits is coming up. As you've heard it, Patrick and Adam have a training day on Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Oh, sorry, on Wednesday. Tuesday, you could go do something else, but Wednesday, you better be over there with Adam and Patrick, checking them out in Wales. Also, remember that SQL Bits is a hybrid show. So if you want to join us online, if you can't make it over to Wales in person, you can join the pre-con from over there and the comfort of your own home. It's going to be wonderful. We also have a pre-con, speaking of that, coming up at SQL Saturday Jacksonville. Myself, Dan Taylor, Niraj Jafari, we're doing DBA 101, a day of fundamentals. Please sign up. We'd love to see you there and have you in person. Andreas, you have an FTA Live coming up on ML Ops in early March.
Mm-hmm.
We are
March
just
6th. jam-packed. 10:30, man. 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Like to see you guys out there. We'll post the link later on.
Fantastic. I think that's it.
That's it.
All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. Have a great day out there.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.